All right. Good evening, everyone who's online and who's in the room. Call the meeting to order at 6:30. Get the roll call, please. Lauren?
Sure. Chairman Hinckley,
Here, present.
Leanne Menke. Here. Peter Menke,
Here.
Dave Nagel,
Here.
and Christopher Riley.
Here.
That's your quorum.
Yeah. No one is in the room. Anyone online with public comment?
Public comment. I know Lisa kept popping up on the screen.
She was trying to get in.
No, she's here.
Oh,
She
she's in?
just turned off her camera.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
okay.
is- She's on the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I can-
My camera's not working well, so I turned it off, so
No
it would be
worries.
flickering.
No worries. All right. Anyone like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the prior meeting? So moved. Second?
I'll second.
Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. All right. I believe Chris has some information in regards to the architect's proposal and cost updates going forward.
Yes, I do.
That they've discussed at the board level.
I'm just gonna bring it up on my side. Okay, so, yes, as I said, we had received a proposal from the architect for the continued support as we try to progress towards a referendum next November. So a lot in the proposal. Yeah, so it's starting to go here. Oh, thank you. I appreciate the printout. I had it right here on my phone. And basically, a lot of it involved various meetings that we may have with the architect, between the architect and the and the project manager, as well as meetings with the library board and LARC, just as support is needed for that. Also in assisting the library board in the preparation of a presentation, because I know we've presented this,
Right.
last February. We're gonna need updates, so they've agreed to be able to help out with that, and as well as be there in person for, when we actually want them here to be able to answer questions and help support that. And then any responses to any questions that come up at the town council presentation, basically follow on support from that. Based off of their expected estimated hours required for their team to support it. They were proposing in their quote a total of $20,700 for that continued support, which would take them out through, right now the proposal says out through early July. I mean, obviously we can revisit, at that time if we need for support, but hopefully by that point, we've gone through the presentation and the main initial support that we would need from them, so.
But this does not go up to potentially November for the referendum.
It does not in there, but as I said, I mean,
Obviously, you guys could reach back out.
we could reach back on this, and I mean, that's what we did for this one, for the next phase, and then we can continue on from there.
Okay. I know probably Leanne and Peter have probably seen this already. Does anybody else have any discussion in regards to this?
Just to kind of expand on it, we've kind of elaborated that they're gonna work to it as a not to exceed. So basically what you have is the number of hours that we have. Some of the stuff that I think in August when they were anticipating it, scope is shifting a bit as to what our focus is at. And so it's basically a not to exceed on an hourly basis billing. So we could reach July potentially and not be there.
Correct. Understood. Now, does this proposal encompass potential changes to the plans or, the different version of the plans that council wanted to see or different options?
It does not specifically call out like a redesign. It's
Okay.
looking at the conceptual design as it was presented. But it does allow for them to have the meetings and the discussions to look at options within that conceptual design
Okay.
that they had proposed, so.
Okay.
For example, shift of materials, shift of
Right.
structural, also as well as potentially while the job doesn't lend itself to phasing, like we're going to build this
Mhm.
part, this part, and this part, but potentially phasing in the sense of building the space, but not building what's in the space. So we phase that later, so that the
Okay.
library could potentially be operational
At
and
least it's
then,
constructed
and then
and
it's
yeah, the
constructed.
shell's there and you
Right.
can then do your fit out, so to speak. Okay, because and my understanding as we just, from council is they wanted to see at least another option or two, or, add bit alternates, so to speak, that they
Yeah.
can Chinese menu, they can take off a couple of these from this side and whatever, just
Oh,
so.
and another potential spot that there, and there are many different spots there that we're looking at, but potentially, for example, taking the outside space and making that a second phase,
Hmm.
so to speak.
Okay.
That type of thing, which, because there is a lot of work outside.
Right, and those might be very palatable or more palatable than.
Keep the parking, but maybe the plaza and all the, Wi-Fi stations and all that other stuff, perhaps that goes in a second, but you have it so that the grading is due to start, the site work is done, so it just
Right,
goes in
so, yeah,
after the
when-
fact.
when you-
So it does include options.
Well, we're hoping to.
And that's why I was gonna get into a discussion a little bit later in the large.
Okay,
about-
I
about
just
that.
want to be clear in case somebody asks me.
Okay, so this is good information, I think, like I said, we just got it, today. Lauren will put her eye on it as well, and we can, potentially next month just take a vote to accept it, so we can get the proper POs cut, and we know where the funding's coming from and what it's for, and then we can all move forward on that end, I think.
Okay. Sounds good.
You have any other information you want to share on the,
Yeah, so, I want to share with, Lark, now that are we set with the proposal for now?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. So
I'm
as,
sorry, Kim, you came in a little late. He was discussing the proposal that they got for some potential work, and I didn't know if you had any questions. Lauren, email.
No, I
Lauren, email.
I'll just, I'll read through the notes, or if you have anything else that you want to just send me to bring me up to speed, that would be great.
Okay.
oh, that's all right. So as Lark, we know that we presented in February,
Mhm.
for the conceptual design, and we included in that conceptual design the cost of estimate based on, it was determined, I believe, the prior summer,
Mhm.
prior to that presentation. So we want to revisit it because we want to make sure we have up-to-date information, especially, as, whether, material costs and other items may have changed since that point, since that initial estimate to today. So we had consulted with the architect, as well as a construction firm, just to kind of determine, an updated cost of estimate, just to make sure everything's kind of in line with that. And in the spirit of transparency with Lark, we wanted to communicate to you what the cost that was determined.
Okay.
And what was determined was that it had increased to 65 million from what was previously presented in February. And while cost increases are not desirable by any means, we're also trying to be under the understanding that, sometimes it's unavoidable, especially with the cost of materials, now have,
Mhm.
gone up for various reasons and factors.
Yeah.
So once we had that new estimate come into play, we had started discussions again with the architect and the construction firm to revisit the conceptual design. Make sure that it still maintains the needs of the reimagined library. We didn't want to, cut out anything that, we do need going forward. But to revisit it for any possible reductions in costs. And that was kind of where, Leanne was kind of alluding to where, okay, we weren't talking about phasing before, but maybe there are areas to phase where, you build up a makerspace, but you don't put in all the equipment, but you have all the connections in there so that, we can do that, fund that at a future time, or outdoor space, you do just the basic on that. And then you can do that later because it's not interrupting the operations of the
Yeah.
library itself.
That makes sense.
So The plan is that those discussions are ongoing now, between the architect and the construction firm. And when the board receives, back their feedback from that at that time, then we'll review it and then we'll communicate it back to Lark. As I said, I don't have, specific options other than a couple of ideas we threw out there, but that's currently the plan is because we understand.
Makes sense. I got it. Lauren, do you know what do we have for open POs? Do we have any that are open? For Lark, I mean, that you don't have no right away, but just out of curiosity, because I don't know, what's and what our budget is,
So
et
you
cetera.
currently have about, if I'm remembering, because I just looked this up this morning because I wanted to have this for you, you have about $46,000 in the line item. But I don't know if we have anything open that was encumbered, so I can
Okay.
quickly log on and check that out. But I know that there is funding.
That sounds about
for the
right.
quote that you got in today. And I know that there was the potential also of the implementer program, which we don't have yet.
Right. That was 20 and 20.
I think it's 20 and 20.
Yeah.
20 this year,
20
20
that's
next
20.
year.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric,
Okay.
can I add something? I know we closed a PO recently that was open for Leslie Berger because we weren't going to use it. So I'm assuming
Okay.
the money's put into the total that Lauren's talking about. But that was the one that I knew that was open. They were asking me about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Lauren can check into that.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I know we closed that in July.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Since year-end closeout. Got it.
Mhm.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions about what Chris has talked about? Either Dave or Kim, just about the different things. I mean, I think that's, the right path to do is to get the correct cost, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then to give the next presentation, so they have an option or two, council to choose from, if that's what they
Yeah.
want to do, at least, so they can see something on paper, and then from there move forward on the, whatever they say, yeah, let's move forward with a referendum or hold a public, whatever they need to do for that.
Okay.
So I think that's,
The facilities committee at the library is basically going back and reviewing under Chris's leadership, we're going back through and taking a look at things. And I think from the library standpoint, and I would think this committee as well, we don't want to build to a number because then you end up with not what you need. So I think what we're trying to go back and do exactly that, is to say, okay, the current concept does encompass the things that were needed, but let's go back and make sure that
Mhm.
we're crossing our T's, dotting our I's, and while we want to make sure everything's addressed, we also want to make sure that we're not cutting things off just to meet a number.
right, I got you, I know you, and I think the number that we present at that meeting, this is what we want or need, and this is,
Yeah.
going forward, and then, it'll ultimately be up to council on how they want to handle the cost and the public hearings and everything to move forward to get it on referendum. So, and that's still the appropriate steps, again, we'll try and shoot for, February, again, before they get knee deep in the budget.
Yeah.
To make that presentation, then when they get through budget, by May or April, we can start setting up whatever the hearing we need to do.
Yeah.
And also realizing that we're probably not gonna be the only group going forward for a referendum next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, because I do remember when we were initially going for referendum this year, I think I was provided a kind of a timeline at that point to get the referendum and all the steps
Mhm.
and backing it out by dates there and everything like that. And I'm gonna assume that backing out the dates is a similar backing out dates. It's just, the exact date may shift
Yeah.
around.
I'm sure.
It's always like a general rule of thumb that the Secretary of State's office needs what's going to be on the ballot by September. That date kind of fluctuates in the month of September, depending on what type of election it is in November. So municipal is less restrictive, presidential is more. But, you know, I always try to say, like, we want to get all of our ducks in a row by August 31st is just such a good timeline to be on. And that means the council sending it to public hearing,
Yeah.
and then also the council sending it to referendum by
Yeah,
that date.
yeah, because as I said, I seem to remember there were steps in there of, okay, you know, they send the referendum question out to make sure that it's approved, and then.
Yeah.
And then there's, like you said, public hearings and a whole bunch of mailings. I remember there's a whole lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah,
steps, but,
that process never changes.
and
And
that's what I figured.
And it's set by the state.
Yeah, it's what day the state needs the question by for the ballot, is
But,
how we work backwards. But again, it's
Yeah.
always in September-ish
September,
timeframe, it's generally 6 weeks before the election. And so having all of, like I said, having all of our ducks in a row, even if we have some wiggle room into September, I always just try to say, keep August 31st in your
Yeah.
brain as like as the cutoff. That way we know we'll get it in before that.
Yeah.
And that is also the date that we're working to, kind of parallel course. We're still pursuing the
grant,
grants.
Yeah,
And, getting closer. We have a lot done for it, for the, particularly the library, Connecticut Library, grant. But that, of course, that's a unique, I'm not quite sure how the thinking goes with that, because you can put in your application, you have to end by like the September 1, using that basic date. You have to have all the information in. But you have to then pass referendum before you're actually considered for the grant, but the whole thing has to be in prior
prior
whole-
to the referendum.
to the whole
Yeah.
process, so. And then you still have to, that's the end of November, but then you still have to wait for the governor's approval in
Yeah.
February for who gets the grants, so.
Right.
But we are trying to keep that same track running outside of the.
Concurrently with
Yes.
this, yeah.
So you're planning on applying for next September 1st. Now, is Sonia working with you guys to grant? write? Okay.
Yeah, we've met with her a few times, with,
Perfect.
talk about, we started small with the grants immediate, but, you know, we are working on that path towards, you know, what we'll need for the library expansion.
Great. And hopefully that report that we got from the structural guy should,
That checks that box.
yeah, at least the box is checked, like we said, and we can go forward.
Also was helpful in the sense that design basically confirmed any design aspect of it in the old portion.
Yeah.
Of the building, of what we can use and what we can't use for typical library load,
Right.
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Since we're not doing stacks up on the second floor there anyway.
Well,
should
it's
be-
the first floor, the second floor can hold them, the first floor
Right,
can't,
that's it.
so can't do the 150-pound per square foot.
Anyone else have any other business pertinent to the committee and or the board? Okay. Move on to second round of public comment. Again, no one is in the room here.
No, we have no one online either.
That. No other comments? Can I get a motion for adjournment?
There's a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second? Second. All in favor?
All right.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance.